What is the thing that surprised you the most when you traveled to a country you had never been to before?
Heated sidewalks in Finland, absolutely lifesavers for me who had no idea how to walk on ice. No trash anywhere, either.
Adding to this, icy sidewalks. Didn't think about it because I wasn't somewhere with obvious snow, but turned a corner in Vancouver and basically surfed down a block and a half. Probably only didn't eat pavement because I'd just been skiing for a week. The smells of a different country. I'm from Australia and traveled to Malaysia a few years back. The city, the jungle, everything smelt different to any place in Australia.
I still distinctly remember the smell of Turkey, Egypt, Switzerland, Spain. So many countries we visited traveling Europe, and I remember coming home to Sydney and being like, so this is what home smells like.
In Thailand we were watching a movie and they played the national anthem and everyone stood up for their king.
I'm in Thailand at the moment. There have been huge protests and speaking out against the monarchy for the past year or so, which is dangerous as it's illegal, with severe penalties. I went to watch a film a few weeks ago and only around half the people in the cinema stood up during the showing of the King's video before the movie. It's not actually the national anthem, just some rousing nationalist song with clips of him in ceremonial dress. This may not sound like a big deal, but it was absolutely unthinkable, even 2 years ago, for half the people to show such disrespect and to remain seated during that part.
My heart goes out to them. I agree this fact is significant even though it may not seem like it.
In Prague, when you open a camera in the street, it's like a force field. PPL automatically moves aside to not stand in the way.
Good luck doing the same in Valletta.
The amount of eye contact and observation. When I went to Morocco, in the evening the streets would be packed full of families sitting and talking. These people would watch each other. In fact, even the way I'm describing it with watch shows how unwelcome and uncomfortable it would be in England. People would also make eye contact and keep it frequently on the street, just with ease. It felt so strange for me at first.
Yes. Oh my God, I'm from Morocco and this has always been one of my main complaints about this place. And I never understood why it didn't bother other people so much. It would definitely be considered creepy in other countries, but here, people see no issue in staring at you and what you're doing anywhere, anytime. It's one of the main reasons I hate going out sad face.
I was surprised that in southern US, and many other parts of it too, I'm sure, you actually need a car to get anywhere. As in, it doesn't just make life easier, it's a near impossibility to go places without it, even if you're in a major city.
This is 90% of the US. The only places you don't need a car are in major cities.
Yeah, I assumed so. Just didn't want to make any sweeping generalizations without knowing for sure.
Ashgabat, Turkmenistan, everything about it. The entire city, every building, is white marble. It lights up at night like a sterile Las Vegas. However, there is no advertising except for billboards of the dictator holding onto puppies by the neck to show everyone how nice he is. He has pretty much positioned himself as a religious prophet. The AI port is shaped like a massive white marble eagle. It used to be a red building, but soon after it was built they tore it down and built a white marble one. Also, there is no white marble in Turkmenistan, so it has to be imported. They were the largest importer of white marble in the world and drove the price up so high it cost them ridiculous amounts of money to build the buildings. Strange place.
There is a documentary on this place, worth a watch. It's crazy, like crazy. People lived for free at one point. The dictator made everyone climb a huge staircase every year. Weird guy.
Singapore is unbelievably clean. As soon as I stepped out of the plane, I swear I did not see a single speck of dust at their airport. Even the toilets were squeaky clean and completely dry. Every day I go out to explore the city by foot and come back to the hotel with almost no dirt on the soles of my shoes.
Singapore is a really funny country to me. Through passport control I was given a leaflet telling me if I was a mule I would be prosecuted and executed. Welcome to Singapore. Wonderful place that I really enjoy, but it's just such a funky beginning to your visit that I've never been able to get out of my head. The indoor gardens by the bay is incredible.
A few years ago we went to Italy and I made my wife go on a side trip to Herculaneum and Pompeii for a couple days. In Herculaneum we were wandering around in town when 5 p.m. rolled around, and within 15 minutes the streets were filled with people, not hurrying past one another, but just standing around talking, having an ice cream, drinking a beer or whatever.
Cool. Sounds like a story, the city just coming alive at the chime of a bell.
Probably in Germany when I bought a beer in a convenience store and they offered to open it for me so I could enjoy it on my walk.
When I went to Berlin, this threw me off. My tattoo artist took me across the street and bought me a beer and then we walked around. It was such a neat experience. My fiancé was busy in a meeting that day, so the following day I said, hey, look what we can do. And I bought us 2 beers and then I said, now we can go walk around. She was so skeptical at first, but then we walked around Berlin, drinking beer and taking in the sights. It was such a neat experience.
New York, so many people. London, so many people. I've been in Sydney quite a few times. I'm Australian, and it's nowhere near as busy.
About New Yorkers, they mind their own business. But if you ask them for help, they are some of the nicest people. On the subway, I asked a woman if the train went to a particular station. I always get on trains going the wrong way. She said yes, and every stop on the way to the station she counted down for me. 3 more stops. 2 more stops. 1 more stop. Get ready. And it wasn't just her. I asked a guy sweeping the streets which way some museum was. He said, I think it's this way. The guy then proceeded to walk me a long block so he could confirm it was the right way and point to the directions from a better vantage. We went into a restaurant near closing time. We had eaten dinner there and went back after a show to get dessert. The bartender recognized me from earlier and I explained the food was so good we had to come back for dessert. He said, hold on, tell it to the owner. I repeated it to the owner and he invited us to join the staff for karaoke and late night snacks. We started at 10 p.m. and we tapped out around 3 a.m. The restaurant guys were still partying hard. Anyway, New Yorkers are supposedly cold, or ignore everyone. They do ignore people. Unless they have a reason to engage, then they can be super nice.
New York is exactly as advertised. Everything I see on TV shows and movies are exactly the same. I've been to a lot of places, but New York is the only one that is exactly my expectation.
I love the fact that people do indeed curse loudly and friendly at each other. Someone crosses the road and isn't paying attention and someone else will stick their head out the window and shout some colorful anatomy question regarding their head.
The gondola ride in Venice. Not what I expected, with the smelly waters, the crashing gondolas with the drivers cursing each other in Italian. Nothing romantic about it.
Gondolas are tourist traps, stupidly expensive too, on top of everything you just said. You're better off enjoying Venice walking around, or take the ferry, water bus system if you're going far.
Japan has no garbage cans anywhere on the streets, but their streets were pretty damn clean somehow.
We noticed that in Thailand, too, especially while living in Chiang Mai. How? Where does it go? We'd carried any trash we had long distances to find somewhere to throw it out, but never saw anyone else doing that.
The wait time is experienced differently. I'm from the USA, and when my dad and I fortunately had the money to go to Italy through a college program as a teen, the first thing that struck me was how laid-back people were there. In a lot of places, it was a very stereotypically slowed-down lifestyle, with people walking down the street, drinking during the afternoon, conversing and just causally dining outside. People didn't seem to be in a rush for anything, and while I'm sure they have their problems as well, there was much more centeredness across the country. People were much more focused on what was happening right now and what was in front of them. This was in 2008 though, so before the explosion of smartphones and social media.
Also from US. I worked on farms in Italy. They couldn't believe how fast I worked. I was trying to be fast and efficient. It was puzzling to them. They kept telling me to slow down. It took a lot of effort for me to slow down, take coffee breaks and really enjoy being in the moment. Wish I could import that feeling here. I went to the Caribbean when I was younger to some of the smaller islands and I was shocked by the level of poverty that exists there. This was almost 20 years ago now, so could be different today, but at the time, pre-internet and being young and naive, all I'd ever seen about the Caribbean was the white sand beaches on TV, but it was quite an intense experience.
Went to Gdańsk, Poland a few years ago with work and I was not expecting how beautiful the place was, especially the old town. The people were friendly and the food was delicious. I then went to Krakow 2 years later and was equally impressed.
Amsterdam. Knew they biked, but didn't expected multi-level bike parking lots every mile. Jesus Christ, I loved it there. Edit for those who have yet to witness such a beautiful mess, link.
And don't you dare walking on our bike paths. We_will_ ring our bell at you. Loudly.
I visited Scotland and off-leash dogs were everywhere. I love dogs, so this is awesome, but it was interesting for sure. While waiting for the train, some guy was with his dog, and when it boarded he just did some whistling and the dog ran right onto the train. Straight out of a stereotype, but I poo you not, it happened.
Off-leash dogs are super common here in the UK. I think we also have a lot less large dog parks than in the US, so lots of dogs just get trained to go off-leash.
So I live in Australia. How effing fast everyone else's internet are.
The sense of safety in Japan. I had expected some level of safety, but was blown away by how you could literally leave a purse on a park bench and no one would take it. You could walk late at night and feel safe. At Tokyo Disney, we had a stroller for our then nearly 2-year-old. Happily left it outside each ride with a bag full of our stuff with complete confidence that it would be exactly as we left it. Also how willingly everyone engaged with our nearly 2-year-old. We expected some kawaii gushing, and we got it, especially from schoolgirls, but everyone would stop to say hello, or distract her if she was grumpy. The best 2 memories I have are of an elderly man on the train playing peekaboo with her, and another elderly man pinching her cheeks and telling us she looked exactly like a Cupid doll.
When I visited Munich, Germany, I was surprised by a few things. 1. The amount of people who biked everywhere, it was a ton of people. 2. The amount of restaurants that were not Germany-based, i.e. we went to an excellent South African place, sushi, and got doner for lunch every day. 3. Size of the cigarette packs, mother effers carrying around a Nintendo Switch-sized pack. 4. The bottle returns are pretty dope, buy 24 pack of beers, get 1/3 of your money back by returning the bottled. American, by the way.
How impenetrable some American accents are. I'm a native English speaker, but being in New York made me feel like everyone was speaking a different language. Also, how unsocial and lonely Sweden felt. In Ireland, it's not uncommon to make small talk with strangers. If you pass someone on the road when walking, you're usually expected to smile at them at the least. It's the complete opposite in Sweden, I think. People seem not to acknowledge each other, or try not to draw any attention at all to themselves if they're in public. A local explained that if he goes to a bus stop and sees someone else already there, he would wait at least 5 meters away, even if it was raining and the stop was the only shelter. It felt very odd to me.
It's just like that in Norway as well. Try not to draw attention to yourself. Don't talk to people on the bus or on the street, and avoid eye contact at all costs. If eye contact is made, nod and awkwardly smile before looking away. However, if you by some sort of black magic can get a conversation with a stranger going, you are probably good friends by the end of the conversation.
I was surprised at how much time the Balinese people spend on religious ceremonies, offerings, and worship. Yet despite being some of the most religious people I've ever encountered, they were completely non-judgmental and understanding of others. That Romania is a hidden gem. So many beautiful castles, museums, and churches. It's ridiculously cheap compared to the rest of Europe, and the food is amazing.
Romania is on my short list for places to visit. Seems like a super cool place.
Just how empty Russia is. There was this one town we were going to visit which was planned by our guide, 100 or so kilometers away from Moscow, and it's a ghost town. We stayed in a hotel there with the other tourists and our guide. It was a 10 to 11 story hotel and we were the only people there. Outest of the hotel in the city there were restaurants, shops, etc., everything you'll find in a city, but they were all empty except for their owners. We rarely found 1 or 2 customers there. You could literally walk in the middle of the highway there. It gave an eerie vibe, but we enjoyed our stay.
A moti town 100 kilometers from Moscow? As a Russian, I'm genuinely intrigued. Could you please remember the name of that town?
China. Almost every store and vendor, including street food and vegetable stalls, use mobile payment.
I went to Spain and the sides of the road were smoking, and a bit on fire. No one said anything and the fire was getting pretty massive. It was just like, oh, that happens here, it's just on fire sometimes.
I'll give you an actual explanation because you seem to be under the impression that nobody cares that everything is burning. Those are fires started by farmers to burn waste from different agricultural activities, and it's called quema de rastrojos. You have to follow some rules, can't do it during hot months, not too close to a city, not too close to a natural park, and they are always under control. I can't remember one instance where it got out of control and burned something. On the other side, we have several fires a year by people throwing cigarette butts or purposefully burning something.
The tube in England. People complain so much about the tube being late, but the goddamn thing shows up every 5 minutes. That's amazing infrastructure that I wish Ireland had. P.S. This is the first time I've ever gotten this many upvotes. Replies. It seems like we all want better public transport where we live.
You guys have working trains? Asterisk cries in South African asterisk.
US The food servings are big. Like I ordered my regular food for dinner, added a bit of alligator side order cause I want to taste it, plus calamari for my beer while watching the game. I did not finish any of them.
In Barcelona they take their siestas seriously. Everything was closed from 2 to 330.
Spaniard here. In Spain people go to lunch and many shops closes from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. and stays open until 8 p.m. This comes to the fact that the summers can be very hot. So hot that you can't do nothing outside. So the best you can do is rest a little bit in your home and maybe take a nap.
Israel. Didn't know what to expect, but what I wasn't expecting was cats. So many cats everywhere.
Cats are extremely common throughout northern Africa and western Mediterranean. No idea why. Fun story, I was in Morocco and went to visit some Roman ruins. I took a taxi there, worst decision, and felt extremely car sick. At the ruins, I sat down for like 30 seconds, and the next thing I know a kitten came with its mother and curled up on my lap.
China. I couldn't believe the amount of adult spitting and child pissing, pooting in public that went on.
Thank you for watching. We upload new videos every day, so be sure to come back for more fun. Please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed the video.